Welcome to the Washdown Podcast, episode number 48. And this week's guest is Dana Johnson. She's been on the show before, been in law enforcement for over 20 years. And yeah, we just sat down and have a great conversation, cover a lot of ground, as we always do whenever she's here. So I hope you guys enjoy episode number 48 of the Washdown Podcast with guest Dana Johnson. It really is always the same. Start over here, go over here.
So squirrel. That's all I do.
How is this episode going to be? Because I have been that way lately.
It's okay. We'll figure it out, right?
Yeah,
we'll get there.
Let's go down the rabbit hole.
We always do. That's like TikTok. Get me into TikTok.
Oh, good Lord. No. James shared with us the other day that he's got his grandpa into TikTok.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's addicting.
Yeah. He said that he'll just hear his phone go off and hear his grandpa giggling, and he's like, get off of TikTok.
Oh, it's hard. Especially when you just want to decompress for the day.
Yeah.
And then you're just like this. Till 2 a.m. And you're like, oh my God, it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. YouTube.
No.
Yeah.
I don't.
I can watch off-road videos, like just one
Such
right
a
after
dude
another,
thing.
after another. Well, hey, I'm a manly man.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I mean, you got a Jeep.
Yeah, I got a Jeep.
Yeah, Jeep.
Got a Jeep that actually goes off-road, unlike some people who have
I have an off-road.
souped-up RAV4s.
It's not a RAV4. It has rocker rails.
Uh-huh.
I just don't want to do the damage to it because I know I would just seriously fuck that thing up bad. I would have too much fun with it.
Woman driver.
Well,
and a cop.
that too. Off-road.
Yeah.
I'd be able to watch this, hold my beer. I can do it.
Oh, so on an unrelated note, we've got a 4-day overlanding trip coming up next month if you want to go.
Where?
In Arkansas.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, than's.
Come
I'm
on.
going to Mexico next week.
Oh, well.
Thursday to Wednesday, 7 days.
Oh, really?
Let's get out of town. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Put my ass on a beach and give me a beer or something to drink. I'll be fine. Just like Weekend at Bernie's, just let me lay there.
Oh, my goodness.
It'll be good.
It does sound good. We haven't been to Mexico since it's probably been 4 years ago, 5 years ago maybe. We went with some friends of ours down the Isla Mujeres.
Yeah,
And
we're going down to Cancun.
Yeah,
All inclusive.
It's a island right off the coast of
Nice.
Isla Mujeres, right off the coast of Cancun. So you have to fly into Cancun, then take a ferry over.
Nice.
So
I think we're going to a dolphin excursion that's on an island that we have to ferry to. So it'll be nice. A couple of girlfriends going.
Cool.
Nice.
Sounds fun.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
is that the new thing for you? That's all that you got going on?
That's all I get. That's really it. My life is pretty pathetic. Besides school.
Oh, what are you doing with school?
So I'm working on my bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm.
I should graduate next fall, God willing. And then I have to take a entrance exam and hopefully get into Doctorate of Physical Therapy School in Austin. It's a flex program. So that'll give me 4 years of physical therapy schooling. And then I'll be able to graduate, do a residency, and then hopefully come back, retire, and then come back to the police department as a doctor of physical therapy. And PT cops back to work. That's the idea.
Oh.
So we'll see how it goes. So
Are you
5
gonna-
more years.
You're going to have donuts in your office like you kept bringing us?
Well, got to keep you guys fat. Got to keep. It's just customer
Yeah.
retention.
Yeah. I was going to say it's counterproductive.
Not really. Make sure you eat enough that you get hurt, and then you come back in. You become a customer.
It's job security.
It is.
It's the same thing that, every time we run a call and we're bitching about, how can people be this stupid? And I'm like, that's job security.
And we're in the business of stupidity.
Yes.
Like day in and day out. That's
Day
it.
in and day out.
That's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. It boggles my mind sometimes. Like just the dumb crap.
The audacity of some calls.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I've talked about it before, but whenever I was up north, we got a call, and it was, I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning maybe, and it's for a laceration. So the notes were, blood everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And all this graphic stuff.
So you're expecting quite the scene.
So we are expecting, yes, we're going to go in and there's going to be blood everywhere.
Cutting.
Yeah, somebody got stabbed in the throat. I mean, it's going to be bad. We get there.
I can tell from your face.
It's
like a hangnail.
Yeah. No, this fucking, I don't know. He probably wasn't 30 yet. He looked younger than that. Was putting together one of those IKEA desks or something, and the screwdriver slipped and nicked him on his finger. It was not even bleeding. It was more of an indention than a, I don't think that it ever bled. Yes. That's what people call 911 for.
I know. We were just having this conversation we've got a couple of call takers in our current class. And we were talking about the calls that we get in and how, yes, we need police reform. The reform would look like we're not taking these calls anymore and we're not responding to them. Such as, don't call me, call 911 and ask how long you boil spaghetti for because you got company coming in 30 minutes. That's not a police response.
Yeah.
There's not a criminal element there.
That's not an emergency. That's a read the package.
But it is an emergency to them because they have company coming and they have to hurry up and figure it out. We're now Google. Google it. You waited online.
Yeah. Please
hold. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, can't make this shit up.
No, you can't.
And we kind of talked about that before. I don't know if I talked with you about it, but it seems like the ability of people to use critical thinking skills and deductive reasoning.
We had this conversation.
Yeah, it's gone.
No, we don't let them.
Well, I agree. That's something that nobody's pointed out.
We don't allow our children to make those decisions. We do it for them.
Yep.
Because they don't know how. We solve all their problems. And that's a me too. Because there's been times where my kids have been in situations and it's very easy to want to jump in because you don't want to see them suffer. But it does them no good because if you let them experience the failure or whatever it is, knowing that you're right here as a guide, they figure it out. You give them the script, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like everybody wants somebody else to solve their problems, and they feel like somebody else should solve their problems. And we, as emergency services, are kind of perpetuating that.
Yeah. We'll fix it.
Yeah.
We'll respond.
In other places, like Europe, some countries in Europe, they are refusing.
It's going to start getting that way with our numbers, especially.
It's going to have to. Just because the sheer volume of calls that we are experiencing, it's staggering and mind-blowing. And the fact that we are now just about more short-staffed than we've ever been.
Yeah.
So not only have the calls went up exponentially, but you've taken away the personnel to respond to those calls.
Yes. And the resources outside of the emergency services. Mm-hmm. So the government's reduced the funding, which means now people need help more. And who do they reach out to? And we've taught them that. We want people to call 911. You're in trouble, call 911. But now you and I are 911.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
You and I cannot fix everybody's problems. I mean, we could.
Yeah. I think the conversation that we're having right now, we could fix it.
I bet we could.
Every problem has been solved around
On the table?
around a kitchen table at a fire station, or around this table in particular. Mm-hmm. It's just, implementation.
But yes and no, because even if you implement it, what you take from here, there's always going to be a ripple effect.
Absolutely.
And how do you handle that ripple effect?
Yeah.
We're seeing some of that now with the homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really homelessness. There was an article in the paper yesterday about a woman who, I can't remember the name of the organization that she's with or has started, but she invited the Kansas City Star to come in and speak with her.
Mm-hmm.
She's homeless for whatever reason. She set up tent. She didn't know there was housing authority that she could have gone to get assistance in getting housing instead of setting up a tent. But because people see Tent City, they think, oh, if I were ever in this situation, I can just set up a tent.
Yeah.
No, we have resources for that.
I think that's by and large, there's a disconnect with people knowing about those resources. And it's not even just that. I mean, it's everything of, resources for veterans, resources for first responders, for, mental health, for job placement for veterans. I mean, there's all these programs that nobody knows about.
And I heard, are you recording?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's true or not, but there's a nonprofit called After Action Network.
Mm-hmm.
Have they disbanded? Or are they not working anymore?
I don't know how deep we want to get into that. I don't know if the organization is still going.
Okay.
I do know that the person that was really pushing it has taken a step back.
Sure.
So
it can get overwhelming.
Yeah, which I think is, from what I heard, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can talk about that afterwards.
But an organization like that, who was the middle man for all those resources, the search engine, like I use their services for my dad, in home care for him, between coming out of the hospital kicking him out for COVID, and nursing home. I mean, my mom couldn't do it all, so I was able to go to the website, look up the resources that they had already vetted, knowing that they had access to that information.
Yeah.
There's a gap, and I don't know how to close that gap. And the people in the resources can't. I mean, Housing Authority has nobody to go out and market the information for them.
Yeah. Well, basically, like you said, a search engine.
Yeah.
I mean, an organization like that can bridge that gap, but I mean,
if you're homeless, you don't have the internet.
Come on, Dana.
Just saying.
I'm
just saying.
I've ran homeless people with nicer phones than I have.
I'm just saying, not everyone is in that position.
I
word
agree.
of mouth.
Yes, word of mouth. I mean,
we have public libraries still.
Yes.
Available and open.
Yeah. So I think, and again, you're talking about hurdles and things like that to that kind of stuff. I mean, where do you cut it off? Because, I mean, you're talking about, okay, well, we're going to do like an organization like that for military members and all their resources. Okay, well, now we have to have a different organization for housing authority and meal assistance and,
When they all typically bleed together.
Yeah.
There's always
there are some overlap. You've seen the charts with the two circles and how they, but some of those things are outside of that overlap.
Sure.
And I mean, I understand how it could get overwhelming trying to look up that information. However, if you need that information,
you should be willing
you should be motivated to find it.
Right.
So we'll take my old Jeep that I used to have as an example.
It was a Jeep.
It was a Jeep. It was a 1995 YJ.
Sweet.
Sweet little one owner.
Stick shift or
245,000
was it
miles.
an automatic?
It was an automatic,
Oh,
3-speed.
okay. Wow.
So that's what I wanted.
Okay.
It had the 4.0 engine in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Jeep was great.
Mm-hmm.
But it was whenever I bought it, a 20-plus-year-old Jeep. Stuff needed to be fixed.
Sure.
Well, did I have some, little bit of mechanical knowledge? Yes, because my dad worked on cars. But my extent of working on cars with him was hold the flashlight.
Sure.
Hand me this wrench. Hand me that.
And all the trauma that goes with holding the flashlight anyways.
Yeah, I just want to go play basketball.
Just let me be.
Yeah, I don't want to hold the flashlight. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I wanted to do that. I wanted to do it myself. So I went and found the information.
Right.
I looked up videos on YouTube. I asked people, hey, I'm having this issue. What do you think it could be? What are some things that I should look for? I was motivated to figure it out.
But again, you go back to solving your own problem.
Yes. And like you said, we're setting a dangerous precedent.
Sure.
Where we're not allowing people to solve their own problem.
Well, and I really think it begins as children. So another branch to that argument is we have so many families in our area. They're just trying to survive day in and day out. Parents are working 2-3 jobs. Nobody's home but the kids. They go to school. They come back. Our school system, that's a whole nother conversation. Truly not doing our children in the majority of the inner city justice. So who's there to teach them that critical thinking? They're just on survival mode. They're trying to make sure that they eat one time a day. They have clean clothes or, fighting off the gangs or the drugs in the neighborhood. So, I mean, it's a systemic issue.
Well, it absolutely is. Although I would say that it's not exclusive to that. And it's not exclusive to the younger generation.
Mm-mm.
I would love to be able to sit here and go, yep, it's the kids.
It's the kids. No.
But it's not.
No.
But it's people our age.
No. Common
it's people
sense does
older
not
than us.
We had this conversation before about
yeah.
Common sense.
Yeah.
The level of common sense that's out there is not.
They need to take that phrase out of the English language.
Common sense?
Common sense.
Why?
If it was common, we wouldn't be in a...
Well, but it is common. You just have those kind of like the COVID breakthrough cases. I know we're not going there.
No, I'd love to. I really would love to. No, I think the amount of calls that we run that are just ridiculous shows that it's not there. The common sense, if it was common, we wouldn't run the amount of dumb shit that we run.
Right. So how do you stop that? So if you remove the person from the problem and just look at the problem, sounds like communication is a majority of the issue.
Well,
because I don't think the majority of the public understands this level of stupidity that sometimes we get. And I'm not talking, when I say stupidity, I am not talking about the people who truly need help. They are calling in a crisis and they need us to respond.
So my buddy that we had on the show the other night, he made this comment because we were kind of talking about this a little bit. He said, right now, we are in a time where we have an unprecedented amount of information.
Overwhelming.
That's accessible to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
There is information out there
Yep.
for everything. Unfortunately, we are also at a time of unprecedentedly low wisdom. Because, unfortunately, whenever you go on your little Google machine if you're looking for something, you're going to find it, one side or the other. So it can cause that confirmation bias. Yeah. And
not always true information, though, either.
Yeah. That's kind of where I was going with that.
Well, and we saw a lot of that with the elections, presidential elections.
Mm-hmm.
The conversations were, well, I read the other day on Facebook that XYZ, and so I'm going to vote so that never happens again. Well, your availability of vetting information has been reduced. The abundance of information that you're getting hammered with has been increased.
Yeah. Well, and then the trying to say this without sounding like a jackass.
Oh,
but
too late for that.
Yeah. People seem to forget that the so-called news organizations, mass media, Fox News, CNN,
they're for profit.
They are for profit, and they have an agenda.
Sure.
And they are going to report the exact same incident in 2 to 3 different ways, depending on what their agenda is.
Well, and they're in competition with each other, too.
Yeah. So, like the other day, the stuff that's going on at the border, in Texas, in Del Rio. So they do an interview with, I can't remember who it was, like Secretary of the Interior, somebody that's in charge kind of that stuff. And it was about the horses, of them trying to herd,
right.
trying to herd the people back. And they did this interview, and the guy's like, no, that's their job. That's what they do. That's how they use those horses. They ride split rein to be able to control the horses in rough terrain. There's nothing wrong with what they did. Well, then our vice president comes out, talks about how no human should be treated that way, and this and that and the other thing. And then the administration comes out and says the same thing. Immediately, another interview with this guy on a different platform. Oh, that's terrible. We're going to investigate that.
Well, now it's an investigation because his job is on the line.
Yeah.
Who knows what kind of pressure he or she was under.
So that brings us to integrity. Right is right.
It's not as black and white as that always.
See,
it can be.
Here's where I think we get in trouble. Yes, the world is full of gray areas.
Sure.
It absolutely is, and I will agree with you on that totally. But there are times, especially in situations like that, right is right. If you're going to say this,
agreed.
Back your people up. Otherwise, you're showing a failure in leadership.
So it's what's interesting about what you're speaking of is ethics in leadership, which is a class that I'm taking right now, is leadership and team building.
Awesome.
And it talks about ethical leadership. And the basis of ethical leadership is off of morals and values. Mm-hmm. My morals and values and how I was raised, it may be different from other people. And how, especially in our area, we have a lot of, we're the melting pot, so we have a lot of different countries and immigrants that come into our area, and the ways that they were raised were different than ours.
Right. You're going to see everything through the lens of your perspective of your life experiences.
With that, though, I think we all have the common that says you can't pick on our vulnerable populations, our children, our women, our older people. Leave it alone. Those crimes upset the community, the world, moreover than anyone. Mm-hmm. When you start talking about ethical leadership, I think, in my perception, the higher you go, the less ethical you become. Not always.
Yeah.
But you have more decisions to make with a bigger perspective.
Right.
And more lives at risk. So moving people from one place to another, this job needs to be filled, but that means I have to take it from this pot over here. Mm-hmm. So there's more to it than as you go up in command.
Right. And I get the situation you're talking about. That situation was not that situation.
No, absolutely not. What you're saying with the reporter was he did not have integrity because he turned his back on what he was saying.
Yeah.
Because of the pressure that he received.
Yeah.
I don't know. What if, okay, does it make, so we're going to get into ethics.
Well, yeah. So let me pose this question to you. I don't know if you saw it, but so I think it was in Tulsa. Okay. And I actually know somebody who used to work in Tulsa Fireworks for us now, and just had a brief conversation with him about how they run their department, which sounds like a total shit show. And this incident is one. So the fire department's dispatched on, it was a child, and I can't remember if it was an allergic reaction or a burn or something like that. So they get on scene. Kid needs to go to the hospital, needs to go right now. So they're calling for an ambulance. They're waiting and waiting. I think they're on scene time 15, close to 20 minutes, and ambulance still isn't there. And they're checking, we need an ambulance, we got to go. And, ambulance is at least another 20 minutes out, which, by the way, is ridiculous.
Sure.
And that should never happen. So the captain or lieutenant, whatever,
At the fire department
makes the decision, put the kid in the truck, we're going to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
He was terminated because it's against protocols. Now, I think he ended up getting his job back because there was such a public outcry. But
well, and it depends on...
But my point for that is, right is right. And sometimes...
I'll break the rules
Yeah.
of my own department for what is right, and
Yeah.
I will take the heat for it.
Yeah.
I think everybody, especially in law enforcement and in your line of work, has one of those moments where we know this is a suck sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I have to go home with what I have to go home with.
Yep.
I'd rather regret it later on, which I won't.
Yeah.
But I always follow my morals and my beliefs and my values and my integrity. If I get terminated, then that's what happens. I was looking for a job when I got this one.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Not everybody has that situation. If I had a child at home that was disabled, severely disabled, and medical bills were piling up, and my income is the only income, I think that's where people start, they have that internal war with themselves. They want to do the right thing, but if I lose my job.
Yeah. And I get it.
It's so there's, and when you speak of ethics, there's always that question in ethics class about, you have a train track, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on one side of it, you have one person, and on the other, you have 6.
Mm-hmm.
So who do you save? The 1 or the 6? Well, it sucks because somebody's got to go.
Yeah.
You don't know who, but somebody's got to go.
Well, and I like how they do you got the 1 is a child.
Yes.
And 6,
there's always something.
Yeah, there's always something.
6 felons or 6, you know, repeat offenders or whatever, rapists, if you will. Who do you pick?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I know. Philosophy.
Well, but back to to circle back, which I know we always do, to circle back to the situation you were describing, that right there is the reason why people do not trust the media. They do not trust the information being pushed out by the government regarding anything anymore, whether it's the vaccine, whether it's COVID. People are second guessing everything, and as they should.
Yeah.
Do your own research, but make it research.
Yeah. Don't fall into that analysis paralysis where you're just inundated with information and you don't do anything.
It's easy to do.
Yeah.
It's easy to do.
Or don't go on and just seek confirmation bias.
Right.
You know, just look for viewpoints that agree with yours.
Right.
Like we talked about it the other day. There's, you know, a dude on TikTok or Instagram or something. I don't know. But he's like, hey, you know, he was talking about that. He's like, look, searches Google, is coffee bad for you?
Oh, there's people that will say it's great for you and people will say it's terrible for you.
But on your little Google machine, You can find a million articles of how coffee's bad for you.
Sure.
And then if you do, oh, is coffee good for you? Well, then there's a million articles.
Sure.
Coffee's good for you. So whatever you're looking for, you're going to find it. You need to be able to look at both sides of the issue or both sides of your question and take that information in and make your own decision.
But that's, so not only, so I'm going to branch off from there.
Okay.
So especially during the presidential elections leading up to, people who used to be friends stopped being friends because of the opposition. It was so much. It was like a hate relationship.
Mm-hmm.
The benefit of having people that are not like-minded is that I get to hear your viewpoints from your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
We get to have intelligent conversations. Again, I'll say that. Intelligent conversations.
It's disagree.
Not, hey, it's nothing against you personally. I don't agree with your viewpoint. I don't agree with your stance. But I'm glad you felt comfortable having that conversation. Since when can we not have conversation? If you have 10 people who are the same like-minded, you now have groupthink.
Mm-hmm. You're in an echo chamber.
It's not going to, it makes you feel good
that
you didn't have any conflict. Conflict is not bad.
Yeah.
Conflict is good.
Yeah.
Like a lot can come from good conflict.
You're able to learn and grow when you're out of your comfort zone. If you just surround yourself with people who think just like you do, then you're never going to grow. And like you said, groupthink, you're in an echo chamber. I mean, any type of little analogy you want to put towards it, but ultimately it leads to stagnation and then division because you're so closed off to what anybody else might say that it doesn't matter if we're talking and I say the sky is blue. Well, because you disagree with me about this.
Yep. It's like the Martians from Sesame Street. Yep.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you're not able to create a script so that when you have problems or issues, you're not able to go outside that box and solve it. You keep doing it the same way over and over and again. It's not working. Well, it's not working because you've maxed your growth. Mm-hmm. You need to go outside of that.
Yeah. Well, and doing something over and over again and expecting a different result. That is the definition of insanity.
Who says that?
Yeah.
Whose quote was that? Do you know?
That's the dictionary's quote.
No, it's not the dictionary's quote. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to Google it.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it's Albert Einstein who said...
he may have.
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is the pure definition of insanity.
Yeah.
See what Google said. Google's going to tell me what I want it to tell me.
Yes, it is. Because your phone is listening to you and just heard you say Albert Einstein.
Yeah. So I'm going to have a bunch of feed that pops up that says insanity.
Yeah. Insanity plus Albert Einstein. Did you mean?
Well, I have Android. I don't know that it does that.
Yeah, I have Android.
Hey, Google. Are you listening?
Oh, even your phone doesn't want to listen to you
now.
No.
It's like, stop talking. Please stop talking. Do you ever stop talking? Who said the pure definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results? Albert Einstein.
Well, there you go. You got your gold star for the day.
I did.
Well, since you're the smart one, you can lead the conversation from now on.
I am weirdly intelligent, but I'm not smart. Like, I can be intelligent. Mm-hmm. I'm not always smart. There's a lot of questions on whether or not my hair really is blonde. No, it's just great.
Oh. Well, book smart.
Book smart, I guess.
That's what we used to say. Oh, he's book smart.
It's a good thing you're smart.
Yeah.
I think I told my daughter that. It's a good thing you're cute.
Ooh. Maybe that's not something you want to tell your kid.
She's 21. She's
cute.
Yeah.
I mean, She's still in that. Her brain's not fully formed yet.
Well,
you could have scarred her for life. Now she's going to have
again,
mommy issues.
Okay. No, she won't have mom. Well, yes, she will because I'm her mother. I've ruined her for life. So she is in nursing school. She's getting her bachelor's in nursing locally. So in class, so she calls me. She says, "You've really done me wrong," and I'm like, "Okay, what did I do wrong? What now?"
Yeah.
1,001 that I know what I've done wrong. She says, "I was in class today, and the teacher doesn't know what to make of me because we're doing this math, and the majority of the class is having a hard time understanding this math, whatever this math is. But I understand it completely. I was able to share with my peers how to work through the problems. But then on the test, there was a question about a clock." You know where I'm going with this?
Yes.
She could not read a clock. She couldn't tell what the difference between the small hand and the long hand was. And I'm like, dear God, I know for hours we went over how to read a clock. So I said to her, "Tell me what the clock says," because I have a big one in my kitchen. She's like, I don't know. I don't know. What are those numbers? Those aren't even real numbers. They were Roman numerals. I'm like, oh.
Don't ever show her a rotary phone.
I would love to. I think that would be fun. In fact, that would be hilarious for one of your next episodes is to get a young buck in here, hook the line up so you get a dial tone, and have them call. Now, you may not remember this, but at one time, before cell phones were really normal, that everybody had access to one. So 98, 99, we had a phone number that we could go to a phone booth, pick up the phone, put a quarter in, dial the number. It would take us to dispatch. And we could talk to our dispatch if our radios were out. And then as soon as we hung up, we got the quarter back. We don't need that now. There's no
pay phones.
Pay phones.
Yeah. Yes. You do realize I'm not that much younger than you are.
I
right?
know, but
yeah, I know what pay phones are.
But do you but that aspect of the job, though?
Oh no, I didn't come on until 2004. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew pay phones, but
yeah. No,
there was a special number that you could call.
I didn't know that.
It was cool.
That's You got your quarterback.
I got my quarterback.
Cool story.
What?
Fuck, that's like 5 minutes of my life I'm not going to get back. I'm sorry, people. Insights of being a cop.
Not all of us can sit at the station and play video games. Some of us actually had to do work.
It just sounds like jealousy to me. That's
really, I don't have no.
Yeah, I mean, just having to ride around in a car and eat fast food all the time.
Shut your mouth right there.
Yeah.
I didn't eat fast food a lot.
Did you meal prep?
No. So but it was different because like Quick Trip didn't used to have the food that it has now. So it's a little bit better now for people, I think. But I worked nights, so there weren't overnight places open.
Yeah.
So you had to get to Taco Bell to get your gordita by 11 o'clock, or you weren't going to eat again until like 5 or 6 in the morning when they opened back up.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit different. So yeah, we'd snarf Taco Bell.
Yeah.
That's back when my stomach could take it. I can't do it now.
Taco Bell is not happening now.
Every now and again, I'm like, ooh, Mexican pizza sounds really good. And then I remember why.
Double-decker tacos. Yeah.
Do you remember that?
That was my jam.
What were they called? It was like just a cheese or a beef.
Burrito?
No.
Gordita?
Mm-mm.
Chalupa?
Mm-mm. It was like you could get 2 for $1. I'll have to.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at the menu from like 19. I'll have to Google it later.
Taco Bell menu from
1992. You never know what you're gonna get when you get me on the show.
No, and all the stuff we talked about beforehand that we were going to talk about, we are 40 minutes in and haven't even got close.
That's okay. We can go over it pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got time. I don't have to go get Rachel until like noon tomorrow, so.
How is, well.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah. So
we were talking about, before we hit record, we were talking about a very recent event that has kind of shaken a lot of our agencies very close to home. It makes me very sad. But an officer was shot in the line of duty last week in the head. I don't know what's worse, right? Being shot in the head in a line of duty, or that the fact that the kid was like literally a kid. He was 22. I have a kid that age.
Yeah.
So I don't know of those, or the accumulation of all of it, and the fact that cops we're just done, tired, sick of it, right? I wouldn't say we're sick of it. It just seems like we keep getting the hits and we cannot get a break. So with that, one of the things we were talking about, now the funeral's tomorrow. Police funerals, I think both of our lines of work are very rich in tradition.
Yeah.
Love that aspect of it.
Yeah.
You know what to expect.
Yeah. You know what to expect, but you never want to see it.
I will say, well, I don't want to see it for the reasons of the tragedy. To me, it's the kinsmanship. It pulls us back together as one.
Yeah.
So COVID kind of ruined, side note, COVID ruined our memorial celebrations.
Yep. Sure did. Canceled ours 2 years in a row.
And because of that, we weren't able to celebrate the death of those who came before us. There is something to be said for the 21 gun salute, standing in uniform and you're standing in the heat, trying not to pass out or buckle your knees. Don't be that one.
Don't lock them out.
Don't lock them out. You better go touch, toe, toe, heel, heel, touch, toe, toe, heel, heel. You know, making sure that you're saluting properly, that you're not zoning out, that you're present in the moment. We're very rich in traditions. I craved a lot of that, being back together as one, because it's, you know, the Chauvin situation and George Floyd turned us against each other, right? So we're now against each other in some aspects. But looking at the situation that we have at hand, I would really like it not to be this kid. I just hope some really good stuff comes of it. And I don't know what that's going to be. I know it's helped one officer already. What, in Smithville, was it, that received one of his organs?
I don't know. I hadn't heard anything about that.
He was an organ donor. And I think somebody has already received one of his organs, and it saved his life.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking for a positive, that's a big one. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, I don't know, like new protocols, new training, new something, or maybe just, I don't want to get like super political, but people will take the blinders off their eyes or get their head out of their ass. And, you know, it's really disheartening whenever, you know, you see people in our profession make the ultimate sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I don't know what I'm trying, like, like I said, I'm trying not to be too political about it, but, there's a feeling or a sentiment held by some individuals in this country, that no matter what happens, they're not going to change that.
Sure. Sure.
And unfortunately, it is pervaded a lot of people. Now, I'm not saying everybody's like that, because there's not. There's still people out there that thank us for what we do and give a shit about us. I don't
want to be thanked.
Yeah.
And that's part of another conversation, though, that
yeah.
we're starting to see some numbers from that.
Yeah. So, but they appreciate.
Sure.
And they realize that
we're of value. Our job is of value.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise, what is it? The Wild West?
Well, we go from a narrative of defund, get rid of,
mm-hmm.
and bring in social services. Absolutely bring in social services. But what, in front of guns?
Yeah.
How do you communicate with an individual when you can't even get them down to a point yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So protection's number one. So you go from a narrative where cops aren't wanted to a narrative of, we know people still support us. It's a silent few. It's a silent many. We're seeing that now with this officer's death. We need to hear it more. They need to outspeak those who are the naysayers. It's becoming, again, tolerance of each other's thoughts and processes and disagreements, but it needs to be coming towards a common good. And that's where we're not getting, is to that good,
right.
Coming to a productive end of the constant argument and hate needs to stop, because it's not doing anyone any good.
Yeah. Well, and that's what it is. There's never resolution. There's never a solution.
Right.
We're
hearing constantly, get rid of the police.
Okay.
So what reform? Absolutely. Sign me up.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Whenever somebody breaks into your house,
who are you going to call?
Or somebody steals your car. Minneapolis is voting this week or next week on whether to abolish their police department. I think the last numbers that I saw is something like a 200% uptick in crime. There's no correlation there at all. Less police, more crime.
Well, so then what ends up happening is you do continue to get rid of your police department. Fine. Now your crime continues to stay the same. Now people start moving out of your city.
Mm-hmm.
Who's paying taxes? Who's participating in your government?
And then you live in Detroit.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So then the economy, there's so many factors involved.
Mm-hmm. As one person I know likes to say, multifactorial.
I have to be careful with saying that word, because that's not how it would come out of my mouth.
No, but it's one of those things where, we can sit here on a podcast and we can talk about it, and, and we can look at one small issue or one small part of it. But
it's a chain reaction.
It is, like you said before, it's a ripple effect of, okay, well, we can fix this, but then this is going to be the result of that. And a lot of that stuff is, if you sit down and really think about it and have some foresight and look at what's going to happen in, 5 years, 10 years. You don't have to be Nostradamus and be predicting the future, but you can look from past tendencies. Read a history book. Look at what's going on elsewhere in the world.
It's weird that you would say to learn from history and then to truly learn from history is to not do it again.
Yeah.
And then we're right back to where we were before.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're not teaching the history in the schools.
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember from high school.
My high school years were great. There was a lot of hairspray involved, so I don't know.
I'd love to say I'm shocked, but I'm not. Yeah.
Tight rolled jeans.
There's a lot of Def Leppard being played in that car.
Yes.
Yeah.
On my Discman. On the dashboard.
Did you have the tape player that converted your tape player to a Discman?
Well, you had to.
Yeah. Wasn't fancy.
I had a stabilizer, too. It was really cool.
Oh, you were a rich kid.
Well, no, I worked Hardee's. It's my first job. Hi, welcome to Hardee's. May I help you?
It's like you're a natural. Anyway, back to my point. So, and I remember this vividly. So, I think it was sophomore, maybe a junior in high school, we got our world history textbook. Right? World history. This book is, it's thick. They killed a bunch of trees to make this book. We had it for a whole year because that's the way that we did ours. It was,
one class.
Yeah.
One entire year.
Yeah. We made it 10 chapters in of like a 80 chapter book.
Mm-hmm.
And we got up to like maybe the 1700s, 1800s. That was it. So anything that happened after that wasn't taught.
Now, I don't remember that, but I do know that we did not learn about the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
My father was in the Vietnam War. So part of my college education has been to learn about the Vietnam War. And luckily, it was at a time before he started losing his memories.
Mm-hmm.
So we could he never spoke of the Vietnam War. He never spoke of it. Growing up, we didn't have guns in the house. We didn't discuss it. Now, he would make comments. I'll say he kind of did. he when you were getting your butt chewed, he was like, I'm going to make you get on all fours and bay like a bunch of damn sheep like my drill instructor did. Da, 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 da. Anyways, having that knowledge and being able to have a conversation with somebody who was actually there was amazing. And we were able to connect over it. I was able to ask him questions about Ho Chi Minh and the trails and that took him to a really dark place. But
yeah,
the Great Depression.
Mm-hmm.
Did you learn about the Great Depression?
Very cursory.
Yeah, it was very small.
Great Depression. It was bad.
Here's what caused it. Here's what came of it, and then the industrial age.
Mm-hmm.
So my great-grandmother, I remember calling her for an interview for a paper for the Great Depression. So you get bits and pieces of it, but unless it truly impacts your life in a way personally, I don't think you're ever going to connect with it. There's too much information for these kids to grapple with. And our test scores are still down. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation again.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't know the lessons to learn from.
Yeah. Well, they're graduating kids in California that can't read.
Oh, we're graduating kids in our city that cannot read.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not shocked. A real quick sidebar, since you brought up Vietnam. If you're interested in learning more about that and from actual people that were there, Jocko Willenick does a great podcast, and he is always interviewing guys from there, and they've got crazy stories.
Yeah, I've heard. My dad's given me a couple.
Yeah, well,
that are rough.
He's interviewed one guy, John Stryker Meyer, who was, the original Special Forces group, SOG.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of those stories are like...
It's almost too much. I don't want to get into.
Yeah. They
It
don't even do that in
triggering.
movies.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah. If you're interested and not going to get triggered...
It depends on the day.
Like a millennial.
Well, I was going to take that female aspect of it, depending on the crazy chart where I was going to go with that.
Right,
but, I'm not a millennial. It's an
no.
Xer, man.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. One of the guys at my old station, he's like, what year were you born? Told him. He's like, oh, you're a millennial. I'm like,
No, I'm not.
Nope. I'm 1 year too young or too old for that.
Yeah,
it matters.
It makes a huge difference.
Yeah. So, I say that jokingly,
of course,
because there's...
It's stereotypes.
It's all about stereotypes. There's some kind of stigma attached to it of, they're soft or whatever. And,
I'm sure the boomers thought we were soft, though, too.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think every generation has that preconceived stereotypes of the generations.
Yeah. Oh, this generation. Oh, there's no way.
Well, we say that about new cops and new fire coming
absolutely.
out, too. These kids are...
They're idiots. What are they doing? Yeah. It's real easy to forget.
Do you know what I was doing when you were born?
Yeah.
But it got long enough.
Yeah. Well, and it's easy to forget that we were that idiot too.
Yeah, at one point in time.
Yeah. Innocent,
stars in our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Thought we were going to save the world.
Yep. I'm going to be a hero.
Yeah, that's what I was going to be.
Yeah.
I was going to carry a gun and boss men around. That was awesome.
Wow. Didn't know I had a woman's liber on the show.
At the time, that was a big deal to me to make it through, because I'd always been told I'd never make it.
How did that...
I don't know.
How did that affect your mental health?
Back then, everything was new.
Mm-hmm.
It was a new experience. I was ready to take on and I think that's part of critical thinking, though, too. I'm going to make that connection real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Is being open to experiences, and no matter how it's going to turn out. I was ready and open to see what was going to come next. I was so dumb. It did not dawn on me that I would be working at night in the cold, outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. In the snow, too? Huh.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Now that you bring that up, I don't think it really dawned on me either.
I just wanted to be a cop.
Yeah. That, I would get woken up at 2 a.m. to go to a house fire with a foot of snow on the ground, icy steps, and yeah.
Be careful.
Yeah. And then, get all wet inside the house fire because we're and then come outside and freeze up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, be on that car wreck on the highway and it's 2 degrees outside and you're out there for...
I almost felt the cold right there because you've had those nights where you just breathe and it's like...
It hurts.
I cannot wait to be home.
And newsflash, people, bunker gear, not warm.
Oh, is it tough?
Yeah.
Oh, to be in your bunker gear for a little bit and then to go back to the station.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hard.
It's
so
terrible.
hard for them.
You know what? Because we get it makes you all sweaty.
Oh.
And then we have to crawl into our covers all sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
Or, we have to change our uniform.
That'd be terrible.
Yeah.
Before or after heating up the cocoa at the station?
It depends. It's not really cocoa. I mean, we do coffee. And sometimes if, we're going to get fancy, we'll throw a little cocoa in the coffee.
Sure.
So.
That is the one thing. We were talking about that today is the coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee has been the lifeblood of both of our professions.
Oh, yeah.
Since the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you can't drink a cup of black coffee, that used to be... And now this younger generation, they don't really drink the coffee. They're bringing in the iced, and it's like...
Yeah, or creamers at the station now. Caramel macchiato, Italian cream.
I know. It is pretty good, though.
Yeah. Well, I love caramel macchiato coffee. I mean, it's fantastic. I think I have some upstairs. And, I mean, I'll have to show you Rachel's new coffee thing that she got we got for a housewarming present.
Nice.
And, it's like, it makes, I don't know what it does. It's a lot. Let's just say that. It goes, and yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those.
Mm-hmm.
But, yes, I like that stuff. I'm not saying I don't. But what I'm saying is whenever I came on the job.
It was the black coffee that could put hair on your chest quick.
Yeah. And anymore, nope. If you make it too strong at the stations now, it's like, no,
bitter.
we're not drinking. And it's not even It's not even really the younger guys. I mean, some of the older guys that have been on for a long time.
It's starting to hurt their stomachs.
Yeah.
It's eating
like,
holes.
Yeah. They're like, oh, that's too strong. And I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to make the coffee
Well, when
anymore.
it comes time for nap time, they can't sleep because it's got too much caffeine in it.
Maybe. I don't know.
What's funny is how many conversations we've had after having such a serious conversation about the shooting that happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's very typical of cops that we talk about it, the hard stuff real quick.
Yep.
And then we get off of it.
Yep.
And then we come back and then we get off of it. Get back.
Well, and I think part of that is, I mean, it's almost probably like a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with it in small doses. You're not taking the whole, if you look at it as a big piece of pie.
Sure.
You're not trying to eat the whole pie at once. You're taking a little bit, okay, and then a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more until you get done. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean,
it's to each their own.
Yeah. Everybody's going to cope with and talk about that stuff in a different manner. And I mean, that's one of the things whenever you talk about mental health and therapy for anybody, really, one modality or one treatment plan, it's not a one size fits all.
No, you can't.
It's really not. Where, EMDR might work for somebody, for this one person.
It's guaranteed to work for the other.
Yeah. For the other person, it could be the worst thing that you could try.
But you tried.
And you have to keep searching for whatever it is that's going to work for you.
Sure. So when you talk about coping,
make your point.
So when we were talking about how people cope with it, we talked about this before we started. The ripple effect of the officer being shot. Some of the things that we're not thinking about or that's not evident. We have recruits in the academy right now. We have a regional academy. Those recruits are just learning the basics of being police, right? They're still grasping at ideas. They're getting bits and pieces of their full plate. Now we have this major incident, and it's forcing them to take a look at, am I ready to sacrifice my life for the job? Speaking to several of the females, they had a really hard time with that. Everybody has to come to terms with that before they walk out on that street, in my opinion. You have to be willing and ready to take that sacrifice. And if you're not willing to do it, it's absolutely okay. But you need to have that in consideration. So.
Absolutely. Well, and it was, I mean, it's not the same thing, but it goes along with that. There are aspects of our job that either you have to be able to do and aspects that you need to know about and be prepared for in the event that it happens. So whenever I was talking to a friend of mine who is a battalion chief, talking about getting promoted and all of that stuff, and I made a comment about, riding out as chief, like what's expected once I become captain and all of that. And he goes, here's what I always pose the question to any floating captain that's in my district whenever they ask me about that. And I ask them one simple question. If you are in incident command and you're at a fire and you have people trapped or lost, and it's to the point where that building's coming down or, something's going to happen, are you ready and prepared to pull everybody else out and leave those people in there? Because that's a decision, heaven forbid, I hope you never have to make it.
Right.
But it is within the realm of possibility that you will have to. Can you make that decision?
You have to be able to make that decision.
Yeah. And make it fast.
No hesitation.
Yeah. Not, hey, I'm going to think about this for 10 or 15 minutes.
Let me come back to you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you can't do that.
No.
Because ultimately, more lives are at stake.
Mm-hmm.
So
instead of losing 1 or 2 or 3, now you're losing 5, 6, 7, 8. and be prepared for the aftermath.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have every single person on that scene looking at you.
Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and I think that's by and large, maybe some people know coming in to our professions that dying is a possibility. I think most people, sorry, I shouldn't have been drinking Pepsi. God, it's kicking my ass.
It needs to be burped.
Yeah. Okay. Most people seem to always think that it would happen to somebody else and not them.
Oh, yeah. That's the easiest way to think about it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think...
Because I'm confident in my abilities and my skills.
Exactly.
And the last time it happened was when?
Mm-hmm.
So, to several, it's having 24 years of service. This is not the first time we've lost someone, unfortunately. You begin to disassociate with it, right? The incident happened. I will grieve it in my own way, in my own four walls. But being open and available to those young men and women, and I say young because typically they are going through our academies, to let them be vulnerable enough to grieve is difficult without it affecting you personally. And it is hard to see someone else. But what I would say to them is, honey, none of us are going to come out of this alive. Whether it's a bullet or it's hit by a car or in a car accident, or when my number's up, my number's up. So until that time, I'm going to do everything I can to do what's right. That's hard to say, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we're putting ourselves more at risk. We have more opportunities for those situations to arise for us. Mm-hmm. But there's so many of us who make it through to retirement.
I would say more than not.
Mm-hmm. We're fortunate.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to throw some holy water and
burn some sage.
I'll be burning some sage.
Yeah.
But so on day 2 of the news after math, I tried to mentor the young women because we did not have someone there for us to kind of guide us along. Like, what do you do when you have things that, women have to deal with more so than men in the field? I asked one of the recruits, how are you holding up? And she says, I'm so sick of people asking me that question. I'm not good. I'm not going to be good. And I said, right on. I mean, sorry.
All right.
But I get it, right? Yeah. We're shoving peer support down these kids' throats, forcing them to grieve. They're not ready to grieve, and they're certainly not going to do it in a classroom.
Yeah. There is a lot of, and especially with law enforcement, that group debriefing. The group debriefing can have negative effects.
Absolutely.
So now I will say that with a caveat that it can have positive effects too.
Sure.
And there's been just a tiny bit of research about why it goes one way or the other, and some of it boils down to department culture. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of aspects and variables. And
I think it depends on the group, too.
It depends on the group and the individuals in the group.
Sure.
I mean, as well as I do, if they're sitting in there with maybe old salty.
Right. They're not
going to open up.
No.
Or, if it's a mixed group of.
If you have command staff in there. I mean, it all depends on the perceptions involved. Yeah. I'll take that one step further, not to fly the feminist flag. That's not.
Oh, but you're going to fly it anyway.
No, hang on a minute. But, crying is weakness. It is viewed socially as a weakness.
No, that's because it is.
I'm going to make you cry. I'm going to hurt your feelings real bad here in a minute. You poke you in the eye and be like, why are you crying? There's no crying in football. It's baseball. I know. I get it. But anyways. So we are teaching these young recruits week 2 to suck it up. 1 week we're telling them, suck it up. There's no crying. You want to cry, you take it to your safe space. Now I stress cry. If I get to a certain level, God help you, if I get to a certain level and there's a tear, oh, get back in there. We have to hold it together so that we can solve whatever issue we are handling. There's a level of command presence that we need to maintain. It is difficult to hold all those emotions back. So you teach people, hold your emotions back, put it in check, put it in check. There's no crying. But now we're going to sit you in a room with peer support and shove it down your throat until you can't stand it anymore. So what is it? Do I cry? Do I not cry? Do I cry? Do I not cry? And then you want me to open up my emotions to a group because now 20 years down the line, I can't have those conversations.
Yeah. So, and I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to be more open and make sure that this incident doesn't scar, going forward and cause problems going forward. Right. Sure. So that's the idea.
And that you catch those that need.
Exactly. And you're trying to teach them compartmentalization. Okay. You can't cry. You have to function right now.
Right.
You have to handle the problem, whatever. And then, okay, now it's okay. Later. Yeah. Deal with it later. Now, okay, now's the time to deal with it.
So long as you deal with it.
Yes. So it's one of those things where I get the idea of what they're trying to do. It's just maybe not in the best way.
But I don't know another way.
I know. That's the kicker of it. You know what? Here's what I'll say. At least they're doing something.
Sure. Absolutely.
It's not, okay, suck it up.
Right.
When
I first came on, that would never have happened.
Oh, yeah.
We even had the chaplains come in now that we're expanding our chaplain program. Mm-hmm. I had asked that the chaplains come in for anyone in our headquarters. I don't know who that person knew. I don't know that my coworkers don't know that person or how it's going to affect them. I don't know how it's going to affect anyone. If we have these processes and these people in place for this type of stuff, activate them. If they sit in a room for 8 hours and no one comes down to talk to them, we can say we were available.
Yes.
If we have one person that takes advantage of that, that's one person. If we didn't have it activated, who knows what could happen. So
yeah. Well, I mean, you're illustrating the whole point of this stupid podcast.
It's not a stupid podcast. Stop saying it's stupid. How many episodes are you now?
So you will be, I think, episode number 48.
Oh, good.
Or 49 even.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I could have.
Congratulations.
Could have held you off to where you episode number 52, and that would have been like our year anniversary.
Aww.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do like one blowout, like just.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Or a montage even.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. Best moments.
Snippets.
Just
blur it real quick.
Yeah. just an hour of just images. Yeah.
Laughing.
Yeah. Ha ha ha. There's been some of that.
There's been a lot of that.
Yeah. So, yeah, but, getting back to the whole compartmentalization thing, that's what we were taught in the academy.
Yeah.
But we were taught you don't bring your feelings to work. You put them in a box under your bed. You can have them back when you get home. Okay.
In the safety of your four walls.
We didn't get that part of the speech.
Well,
the part of the speech was, or the whole speech was, you take your feelings, you put them in a box, you put them under your bed, come to work. Then whenever you get home, you can have your feelings back. Okay. So that's basically compartmentalization. Mm-hmm. what do you do with those feelings when you get them back?
Well, who wants to open up that box?
Yeah. So
you've been on a long shift all day, and you've dealt with some of the worst things that we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
You honestly want to go home and deal with your feelings?
No.
Sorry, the Golden Girls TV show looks much better than my feelings. We're dealing with family issues or marriage issues or demons.
Anything else.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I don't know. At least they're doing something.
They're doing something. I am proud of what has happened so far.
Yeah.
We're getting better. I don't know what the future looks like, but
yeah, I don't know. With the rate of burnout and everything else, I mean, so we're seeing mental health services for law enforcement and fire go up, right? Resources. So we've got programs and therapists and nonprofits, and we have all of these resources that are starting to take effect and come into being, and the ability to go to them without there being such a huge stigma. It's starting to get there.
Sure.
Right?
Slowly but surely.
But the people that are needing to use those resources is climbing.
Yeah.
You know, because again, I don't want to harp on it, but we're understaffed. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
more situations shoved.
Yeah, you're just like, the resources aren't keeping up with the demand, I guess.
I saw a number once that said that an officer goes through 188 critical incidents a year. So if we're down even half staffed, that number's now doubled. Theoretically, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know the science behind it.
Right.
The numbers aren't being kept. Yeah. Right? There's no.
Well, why would they want to keep those numbers?
Right. Well, so I think they will, just like vets, right?
Yeah.
I think the research is going to start coming out.
Yeah.
And there's some governmental programs that are coming down. So that's another conversation to have. Trying to stay middle of the road on that is that the government is responding to society's cry to fix police departments. So what are they doing? They control the money. Mm-hmm. Grants. You want grant money, that's fine, but you have to now go through racial profiling training every single year for an hour or whatever. That's fine. Training's training. I don't care.
Yeah.
Open conversations. Okay. Now domestic violence in law enforcement. Add that class. Okay. 2 classes, 3 classes, 4 classes, 2 days on already short-staffed that you're pulling out of the field.
Yeah. No, I
so I get to hurry up and go back to work.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a dilemma, the whole training thing of we're short-staffed, we need people in the field, but yet we need more training. And, okay, for more training, we need more money.
We need more good training.
Yeah.
Good training. I can sit in a classroom. I just went through this last week. We had 2 days of in-service. And on top of those 2 physical days in class, on site, we had 1 full day of videos. Ridiculous.
I have been through... So we were talking about this with Scott yesterday about training, because he asked us about, what we train on the fire department and stuff like that. So when we were kind of...
He's got a family. It's like he's here, but his family is fire department too.
Yeah.
Back in New York.
Yeah. Well, he was too. He was a volunteer.
Oh, well, that speaks volumes for him.
That's
a wannabe hose dragger.
Yeah. That's why he's
came
awesome.
out of the dark side.
Yeah. It's like, dude, what went wrong?
He saw all the pretty cops.
Yeah. Anyway, but we were talking about it, and whenever you have a large department like we both have, cycling everybody through that training. So like he was kind of telling us how you guys do it, of you have you may pull people from this area to fill in or whatever.
Yeah.
So we don't have that. So whenever a company goes out of service to train, there's just a hole there.
Yeah, but you have a lot of companies. You have a lot of stations in the city. It's a little bit easier.
We can
for you
talk
guys
about
to go.
that off camera.
I feel like that's a threat.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, we'll talk about that later. But basically, so you're trying to cycle all of these people through, and we may have this building for 3 days.
Sure.
We got 3 shifts. So everybody on that shift has to get through in that day.
Yeah.
So,
hurry up, get it done.
It's hurry up, get it done.
No questions.
Yeah, just get it done. And then if it's something like, okay, diversity training or some other training, it used to be we had to go somewhere and do that and sit through some kind of class or whatever, and now it's on a tablet.
Right, which is nice.
Yeah, which is nice when it works.
Yeah.
Doesn't. But that's another.
Well, you pay attention
Yeah.
to, because some of it is so dry. It's like, and if I've been up for 10 hours,
Yeah.
come on, man.
So I guess my point is, yes, we need to train. We need to be proactive on that kind of stuff. But whenever you're short-staffed, whenever you're, okay.
The demand.
Call demand is so high, like.
You
So
can
I'll just
only
give
pull in so many different directions before
Yeah.
there's nothing left to pull.
So I'll give you an example. So whenever I came on, the busiest station in our city ran, I don't remember the exact number, but we'll just say 3,000 calls.
And
Okay.
how long of a period?
In a year.
In a year.
In a year. They ran 3,000 calls.
So what,
So
10-ish calls a day?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
The busiest company.
That was math.
Yeah.
I did that without a calculator.
Again.
Donuts. 10 donuts a day for 365.
But by comparison, so that's in we'll call that the urban core.
Sure.
Right? So then you go to the outskirts, the busiest company in a different part of the city, they were running 1,200 calls a year.
Almost half.
So, yeah, just a little less than half.
Right.
So fast forward 15 years. So that station up north is now running 4,000 calls a year.
Mm-hmm.
And the station that's in the urban core is well over 6,000.
Right.
So that's in 15 years, call volumes have more than doubled in some areas, more than tripled in other areas.
Yeah.
We haven't added any more people.
Mm-mm. But your calls are being added.
Yeah.
The different types of calls that you're responding to have been added to.
Absolutely.
But you've gotten rid of the downtown one. You don't have to come to our building anymore.
Well, yeah. I never had to, I take it back. I worked at that station for half a shift, and I did
Those
have
guys
to
got
run that place.
Tired, slick of having to come into our building.
That's the only thing those guys
I
did
know.
anyway.
Well,
So
that's another conversation.
yeah. That's a joke for anybody at that station who knows what I'm talking about. It's a joke.
Oh, they'll be fine.
Don't take offense.
They'll be fine.
Yeah. So,
Sure.
You know how it is. If I work in this part of the city, so I'm the only person who does anything.
Sure.
Or,
Well, we have that too.
Yeah.
I mean.
Or I work on this shift, and we're the only shift that does anything.
Yeah, days don't do anything. They just kiss babies and hold old ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Night shift, that's where it's at.
That's where it's at. It's
Yeah.
where all the crime happens.
Yeah.
It's all the business is handled.
Mm-hmm.
I did work the nights. Nights were fun. The nights were fun.
Yeah.
If I had to go back to the field, I would do it gladly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that the city's ready for me to do that. We might have to have some more not diversity training, but more verbal judo conversations.
Dana,
I don't think you could say
there's
that.
a finite number of city attorneys. You can't keep them all busy just for you, Dana.
I don't know. I could certainly try. I would go back to nights.
You know that I applied with the police department before I did the fire department.
So both you and what's his face?
Nelson or Moran?
Moran.
Moran. Yeah, Moran actually worked in a jail.
Mm-hmm. A little cop wannabes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would have made a terrible cop.
No, you wouldn't have. You say that now because you've been on the fire department.
Oh, yeah.
But had you made it as a cop, you wouldn't have said that.
But I also say that from...
Your tolerance level now.
Well, no. I say it from the lens of looking back and being a lot more self-aware than I was then.
Sure.
So, yeah, I would have been the cop that is like writing speeding tickets to grandma for going under the speed limit. Yeah. But yeah, I would have been that guy.
Things were different. Much different.
Well, yeah.
There's good and bad of
Yeah.
all of it, right?
Yeah.
I still love the job. And what I'm seeing now is, speaking of losing people, we're seeing a huge number of people leaving, like in droves.
Yeah.
In fact, we had an academy recruit for another agency that was just offered a job. Not even graduated from the academy, $85,000 starting off. To do what? I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
So that person gets that job. Now all the other recruits are thinking, I'm getting shot at, and I'm not even making 85.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yep. Well, I think whenever you talk about that, it comes down society-wise. Our professions are more of a calling and a career than anything else.
It should be.
Yeah, it should be. And I think people are just not, the younger generation are not growing up looking at it that way. And I think on our side of it specifically, and again, not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but if you look at paramedics, right? Typically paramedics, the average time that they stay now is about 7 years.
Right.
And then they're done and they move on to something else.
Right.
So it's
but there's
just
a few
job.
Factors on that one.
Yeah,
a lot of it's physical.
Yeah. So, but the way...
Your retention periods.
The retention periods. So like whenever I came on, again, 17 years ago, very rarely did you ever hear of someone, if they weren't pensioned off because they were hurt or trying to collect a pension, you didn't really hear of people leaving the job.
You didn't leave the job.
You stayed. At least you're 25.
Yeah.
And then, most people would stay even past that.
Sure.
Now,
stay as long as they could until they got kicked out.
Exactly. And now it's like, okay, well, I can go get this job and make more money, and
grass is greener somewhere else.
Exactly. And it's becoming more and more common. And that's part of the,
sure.
We've kind of created that because we haven't kept up with, the equality of pay.
We're close.
I mean,
the fire department, police department, we're closer than we used to be.
For other jobs outside of our sector,
sure,
we haven't kept up where we need to be
to retain what we need.
To retain what we need.
So I will argue. I agree with the fact that we're seeing officers leaving at 5 years, right? 4, 5, 6, 7 years of service now. Like a lot of people leaving now. And I think for them, you and I became a passion for the job, the people. I truly have a passion to help people. I don't know how I got there. I don't know how I stumbled across it. But I grew into it, right? And I think some underlying talents were there. And I was able to cultivate it. But I chose to cultivate it, right? I chose to stay in it. They came on at a time where police were idolized. Mm-hmm. And it was in the movies, and it was cool to be the thing to do. I'm going to go be a cop. I'm going to go be a cop. It's not cool to be a cop anymore. It's just not. So now that that's gone, they're having to rely on those skills and that passion. And if that passion and those skills are not there, they're like, I'm out. I'm going to look somewhere else. Get that work-life balance. Bye. Because if your passion isn't there, your integrity isn't going to be there. Your retention isn't going to be there. You're not going to be there for the long run. So I don't know. I don't know what holds for the future for us. You got 5 more years with me, and then I'm out and back.
Yeah. Well, I've got at least, an individual that I know has a countdown, a classmate of mine.
See, I don't like that. I think if you're starting to count down already,
yeah,
you're pretty much done.
Yeah. Well, that's what, who was it that said that? Oh, Michael Irvin, I think, said that about Aaron Rodgers. If you're thinking about retirement, then you're already retired. Just go ahead and leave.
See, and my plan isn't so much the retirement. It's how can I help my cops? That way I can help them get better and be better. But I'm eventually going to have to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is scary.
That's got to be scary. I mean, your whole adult life.
I know.
You have been.
I can't believe I've lasted this long.
Yeah. But, honestly, though, that's something that people need to think about.
Right. What's the next step?
What is the next step? And we were supposed to have a guy on the show. He ended up having to cancel, but that was going to be the topic of conversation because he's going to retire this year.
You have to have a plan.
You have to have a plan.
Especially in our professions where you're so used to adrenaline. Even if you're in an office job, you still have, it's the job, it's the awareness.
Well, I mean, even besides that, it's the schedule.
Yeah.
The regimented every third day. I go do this.
Yeah. I have a plan.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
My schedule for the next however long.
It's planned out.
I know exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
And so I brought this up the other day. You know who Tanya Glenn is, the therapist down in Texas. Mm-hmm. So she's written a bunch of books. And anyway, in one of the books, she's talking about this state trooper, Texas Ranger. I can't remember. Anyway, she used to see him all the time in some coffee shop or something. Hey, how you doing? That type of thing.
Right.
He was always fit, in shape, good to go. Well, then she didn't see him for a little while. And then one day she bumped into him somewhere, coffee shop, whatever. Didn't recognize him. He was out of shape, dirty clothes, just looked terrible. Well, he had retired and had nothing to do. These guys that go, oh, I'm going to retire and I'm going to go travel. Yeah, I'm going to go travel. Okay, well,
that's fine.
That's fine. What are you going to do next month?
Right. Where are you traveling to? Do you already have your destinations picked out?
Yeah.
Do you have an idea of where you're going to be, when you're going to be?
Yeah.
I the same thing, I see coworkers, and nothing against them. I worry for them because, again, you're doing the same thing over and over again. We've seen this script before.
Yeah. It's
not going to end well.
No.
Cops don't last long after retirement. It's been proven. If you don't have a plan, we typically die within the first 5 years of retirement. You better have a plan.
Well, that's a reason to become a fireman because we usually last about 10 to 15.
Yeah, because you get all those naps in between.
Well, yeah, we're I can't even say that with a straight
You're
face.
not.
I was going to say we're well rested, but that ain't true.
No. Just because you're napping doesn't mean you're resting.
No.
And just because you have workout equipment doesn't mean you're working out or physically fit.
Yes, we know that.
So, you can give us a hard time about the jelly donuts, but anyways.
Yeah, but you have to have a plan.
I see so many coworkers, especially women. Again, I don't mean to harp on that topic, but they're like, yeah, I'm just going to take care of my grandkids. Why would you do that? Have you not had enough babysitting that you want to do it again? For free.
Oh.
Why?
You're talking to somebody who doesn't have kids, so I
You
don't
can't
know.
have mine. I'm enjoying it.
Well, yeah, now that they're
They
20.
wipe their own
it's-
asses. It's
yeah.
great. 16 and 21.
I will say this. I have nieces and nephews, and they are awesome.
Yeah. But you can give them back.
Speaking of them, and maybe you can appreciate this since
sure I will.
you have kids. I don't know if your daughter's older, though, but had them over here the other night, and they sat down, and they're like, we want to do a podcast. So I'm like,
Okay.
awesome. So I fire up the camera, record them talking, and it's the typical, because they're like 12, 13. So
Ooh, that would be a good conversation.
Starts off, typical 12, 13 years old,
Mm-hmm.
just whatever they were talking about. And then my one niece brings up social media
I love it.
and starts talking about how it's, it's hard for body image and like people doing
Huge.
this stuff. And I'm sitting there going, right on, keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Good for her.
great.
Good for
Yeah.
her.
And the other two started to chime in on it, and I'm like, they get it.
Well, and what I like about that generation is that it is not. It's not just the girls. It's not male, female. It's not separate.
Yeah.
The males see it as much as the females do because they're both experiencing it.
Mhm.
It's the filters. They were talking about the filters. It's like catfishing people now. I'm beautiful in this filter, but when you take that filter off, I don't think I'm that pretty.
Yep.
Well, I don't think I'm gorgeous. Damn, you sexy bitch. What's your name?
Oh, my
Dang, girl.
goodness. Yeah.
However, I've had a little bit more time in this body working through those issues, and I did have that issue. It's just different, right?
Yeah.
Self-image for women is hard, and it is now for guys too, because it's, you're expected to, I'm sure they were talking about TikTok, not to get into what they were talking about, but I mean, I see it. It's everybody wants to have that instant gratification of feeling desired and the hard work and the body and the pants and the dances and whatever. I'm glad they're struggling with it, but it's not a division. They're doing it together and they're coming up with solutions to it. It's going to be huge.
Yeah.
For that generation.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully they can stay on that self-aware path.
Yeah.
Because, and that's what
and self-acceptance too.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest piece of it.
Well, and that's what we talked about. And they know, that it's not real. Like the expectations and what they're seeing, it's not reality.
It's never been reality.
Yeah.
It's just now formed. So when my daughter was young, I didn't realize how much they picked up from commercials or TV shows until I started seeing her acting a little differently about how she perceived her body. And we're talking really young. It was once you start paying attention, it was the commercials. Oh, look at me now. I lost 60 pounds. I'm beautiful. I'm young. I'm vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
Look at me. I took a diet pill just to get, so it's not, I'm going to have a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
To be a healthy individual and physically fit, I took a pill.
Yep.
And I lost all this weight. Now look, I'm a much better person. So I cut out TV. I'm like, I'm done. We're not watching this crap. We'll watch Tom and Jerry. You can watch Tom and
So you taught them violence. That nobody gets hurt whenever somebody gets hit in the head with a 50-pound anvil.
It's horrible. Fun.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, constant death between the two. But
yeah. No, but I think there was, I don't know.
Good for them for having that opportunity.
Oh yeah, it was great.
And then running with it.
Yeah. I wish they'd do it more.
No.
Like actually start it and do it consistently.
Open the door.
No, it's open. It's open.
And that's always been my philosophy with my children and those that I mentor, or Girl Scouts, or anyone. I can open the door for you and present the options. You have to walk through that door. You have to make that conscious choice to walk through the door. I could talk your way through it, but You ultimately had to be the one to do it. So it's good that you gave him the opportunity.
Yeah,
be interesting.
it was fun. It's fun because I just got to sit behind the camera and listen to them talk and
fill their oats.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. Well, and it was good to see. It was good for me to see kids of that generation having those viewpoints.
Huh?
You know, of
intelligent conversations.
Yes.
They let you into their world.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I was really happy about
Well,
that.
as soon as they published that episode.
Yeah, I told them, create a YouTube channel and I'll edit it and
I'll
put
subscribe.
it out for them. Yeah. I'll subscribe too. Of course,
Spread the word.
I'll be sitting here every time they do it. But
It's okay. You can chaperone. It's good that they've got somebody they can lean on. Yeah, I bet you they'll come back to it.
I hope so. I really do. Because like I said, I mean, like the first...
That's man, there's so many ways they could go with that too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it could be huge. I think it could be awesome and just good for them.
Therapy.
Yeah.
Just to have the conversations.
Yeah.
Knowing that they don't have to hold it in.
Yeah.
I think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And they don't have to have that uncomfortable conversation with their parents
Exactly.
who don't understand.
Yep.
I mean, my mom would never understand.
Yep. Which brings us back to stigma of talking about feelings and mental health in the
I know. It all goes back,
yeah.
right?
I mean, it is. And it's, and we talk about it on this podcast all the time of the stigma with law enforcement, fire department, military, of seeking help or having feelings or, any of that stuff. And I think sometimes maybe it gets lost a little bit that that's really society wide.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not just
as much as it
city specific.
Yeah.
This just you change one or two things. It's the same.
Yeah.
In every department. It just looks a little different, maybe.
Yeah. Well, in society as a whole.
Yeah.
You see a therapist? What? And people look at you differently.
I think it depends on the profession. So if you were, I could see doctors
be
like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
You're a doctor. How do you not know?
Yeah.
Just because you're a doctor doesn't mean
we won't even get into, we had a doctor on the show a while back, and his episode will be coming up soon. He was awesome. But yeah, I mean, it's easy to just through the lens of this podcast.
Sure.
Through our lens to forget that there are other professions that see just as much trauma.
Absolutely.
And that was one thing with having him on. He was an ER doc. And, with us, we see a patient for this much time.
Right. And then you leave.
Then we leave. And then we're giving them to that guy who is now dealing with them for
extended periods
of time. So, it's one of those things of, well, yeah, I didn't really think about that.
Right. It's too easy to get caught up in, I think, I can't solve my problem of fixing it. As soon as I fix this part of it, maybe I can fix the next part and then the next part, right? So it's that ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I fix here, maybe it'll ripple out and it'll fix itself, or the resources will be available.
Right.
I honestly never thought of it either. I'm too busy trying to teach my coworkers, how can I help or support you? Can I get you into therapy? And it's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Well,
People are open.
And I think and there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because if you go back to almost tribalism, you're worried about your tribe first.
Yep.
And then once you get your tribe fixed, then you can start branching out. And, I think it's natural, and there's only so much one person can do at a time. I mean, everybody likes to talk about... I can only
roll that rock up the hill as fast as I can roll it.
Yeah. And everybody wants to talk about multitasking and doing this and doing that. I think that's part of the problem, is people aren't being present in the moment of what's happening right now and what's staring them in the face. They're worried about 10 minutes from now, 30 minutes from now, a year from now, or, you know, okay, well, I'm at home with my family, but I'm worried about what's going to go on tomorrow at work, or,
Right.
you know, something like that. And
Or a conversation that you just had
yeah,
that resulted in a conflict, you're still burnt up about it.
yeah,
Because you keep rehashing it. It's like the shower conversations. You just keep having that conversation. You're just getting wound up all over again.
yeah. Oh, I still do that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the best conversations. You walk into work, you're like, what?
Yeah.
And they're like,
Good
hey,
morning to you,
yeah,
too.
I'm really, or in my case, I'm ready to go to war with it because now I've thought everything through. And they're like, hey, I want to let you know I really appreciate you opening up, and I'm glad we got to resolve it. And I'm like, I had a 20-minute conversation ready to go.
Yeah.
Can you hear me out? They're
Yeah.
like, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, and I saw Andy Stump on the Cleared Hot podcast. He had Rob Bailey and Dana Bailey on the show with him, and they were talking about that. And his viewpoint, Rob Bailey's viewpoint, was, you know, whenever you do that, whenever you let that little thing or whatever that happened and you keep just replaying it over, you're giving that person free rent in your mind.
Yeah.
And I would bet you all of the gold in King Solomon's mines or whatever, that person has not thought about
Nope.
it, not for a half a second after
Nope.
it happened.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Stop paying into their, stop it.
Yeah. Just Bob Newhart. Stop it.
Yes. But it's, sometimes we do it though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it happens. You know.
It's kind of fun sometimes to have those conversations. You're like, oh, I swear, if you don't tell me good morning, it's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And this is going to happen, and then that's going to happen, and then it's going to go like
That's
this.
exactly how I'm going to say it,
Yeah.
too. Kind of like Kevin Hart. With this episode, you know which one I'm talking about, where his mom gives him permission to cuss? You tell her, I told you. He gets sent, well, I won't take up your valuable time, but he gets sent home. And the teacher made a comment, and the mother gives him permission. You tell her that I said. So he goes up to his room, and he's allowed to cuss, right? He goes up to his room. He's practicing what he's going to say. So when he actually gets the opportunity to get there, he brings out all these other words that he was not given the permission to say. So, but yeah, you get rolling into that conflict, and it feels good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to release that pressure somehow, whether it's from that situation, from another, that feeling, the hurt, the anger. You get rolling in it. I'm staying in that present moment. I'm not moving past it.
Yeah.
Get out of it. You gotta get out of it.
Well,
Get away from
what
it.
was the present moment is now the past, and you're wrapped up in that, and you're
Can't change it.
Yeah, and I think like the technical term is cycling or something like that. That, you know, that's you just keep rehashing, and it's not good, and it's detrimental ultimately to your own mental health. So
Now, if you were to, there is some research, and I'll go sideways on it, to do mental repetition reps of situations.
right, like a
For
training
prepared.
thing. Yeah,
I'm walking into Quick Trip. I'm going to go get a drink. This happens. Okay, now I'm going to go back and replay. That's completely different.
yeah, that's not what we're talking about at all. That's
Getting wrapped up in the shower.
yeah. And again with the Aquanet.
Yeah. No ozone. There's no ozone. Just straight up.
Oh my god.
Good stuff.
Well,
We always do that.
yeah. I will say this has actually, I think, been the shortest. We're only at an hour and 48
The
minutes.
first time was almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
It's a lot of conversation
Yeah.
on that one.
And I had to cut some of it
A
out.
lot of it out.
Not a lot, only like 7 minutes. But still.
There
it
was a long conversation that we had that was,
Yeah.
I'm game, whatever.
Yeah.
So, you know what's coming up on Saturday?
What's that?
I will be riding for Bike MS 100 miles.
Oh, is that it already
That's
again?
Saturday, yeah. And then
Whoa.
36 on Sunday. I know. 136 miles.
That's
Be 3,000 for the season from February to October 1st. 3,000 miles on a bicycle.
that sounds terrible.
Talk about shower conversations.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way of getting up a hill. Just having those conversations in your head solo at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's like,
Oh, why are you? Okay, well, let's talk about that. Safety wise, why are you riding your bike at 4 o'clock in the morning in the dark? Probably on the street too.
Yes. Well, it's a road bike.
I don't care.
I have lights.
Don't care.
I have plenty of lights. So it's actually safer to ride in the morning with less traffic than it is to ride in the afternoons when everybody's out.
Okay, I will give you that it may be. However,
I have come very close with nature on many occasions.
yeah.
A lot of nope kitties out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
Yeah. This has been a long time ago, but I was riding my motorcycle to the station.
oof, deer.
Possum.
Oh, yeah, I've had one.
Yeah. And I had a sport bike at the time. Thank God.
Would have been creamed.
Slammed on the brakes. Back
Oh.
tire came up.
Elbows and buttholes.
Yeah. And
They're
it went
so
along in front of
ugly,
me
too.
like it was from New York. I'm walking here.
kind of like in the, what is it with Sandra Bullock, the movie, Miss Congeniality, where she was walking out into traffic and a car comes up and she's like, I'm gliding over here. So last Saturday I was riding to our bike shop to go out on a 50-mile ride with the team.
Mm-hmm.
And riding, I see I've got my headphones on, but they're bone conduction, so I can actually hear traffic around me. So I see a raccoon off to the side. He slowly starts to go in front of my path, and I'm like, okay. By the time I get near him, he'll be on the other side of the yellow line.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh, he's hanging out.
No. He turns around and comes back. His nose, and I'm screaming on a bike. His nose hits the back of my tire. And he's like, what? And I'm like, did that seriously just happen?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't take me out. Nothing. It was like the creepiest thing. Like, how do you not see me coming on the road? I don't understand it.
It's, obviously his parents didn't teach him how to look both ways.
He needs to look both ways.
Yeah.
I don't know. The screaming should have given him
Yeah.
clues.
And I bet there wasn't even a raccoon crossing sign there.
I know where that's going. There is that call where she's like,
yeah.
I don't understand why you would put a crossing sign right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I've had some deer come in front of me a couple of times.
Yeah, I ran several of those calls, actually. Motorcycles versus deer.
They're not pretty.
It never ends well.
Car versus deer, either one.
Yeah.
They're bad.
Yeah.
Just floor it.
Yeah.
Makes it
Well,
splatter more.
the one that I ran was on the highway, and it was, like 11 o'clock at night or something. Dude on a big, 1983 Honda Goldwing. I mean, it's a tank of a bike.
Windshield, no windshield?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, full front fairing. I mean, it's a big bike.
Yeah.
And he hit that deer mid-body. Split the deer in half. Bike goes down. The only thing wrong with him was he had a broken ankle.
But did he have a helmet on?
Yeah, but let me
better.
Let me just clarify, okay? For all of you people out there who are so enamored with this helmet law or not wearing a helmet or whatever, here's the deal. At 80 miles an hour,
Your nugget's not going to make it.
it's not. Those helmets, it's a false sense of protection. It is. You're going to be more fucked up.
Well, I'm not going to argue. I don't have the statistics. I don't have the research behind it.
So a helmet is super effective in a low-speed crash. Super effective. on a highway, it's debatable.
I think it depends on how the accident happens.
It does. Sure. If you
and the body landing and all that.
Yeah. If the bike lays down and you're with it and can kind of kick away, you'll just slide.
Yeah.
You're not going to bang your head.
No.
Now, if you hit something and go over the handlebars, a helmet is not going to save you. You're probably going to break your neck.
Sure.
So, and it doesn't matter wearing a helmet or not. I have ran that call, dude, head on.
I really want to oppose you, but I have nothing.
Yeah.
I'd rather just see people wear helmets. That's like seatbelts too. I mean, I get seatbelts are going to cause damage, but just put the seatbelt on.
So seatbelts, I think, are that's a different animal. I'm fully in support of seatbelts.
I would hope so. Dang.
So, but helmets, I think that boils down to a personal choice. You want an open casket or a closed casket?
That's horrible. I get either way though. Sometimes
I'm saying that
even though you have a helmet, it's not going to guarantee, because we've seen decapitations with heads and helmets too. So
I'm looking at it through, and this is my own personal perspective. I'm looking at it through my lens of being a motorcycle rider for going on 30 years and calls that I've ran.
No thanks.
I've seen them be effective. I've seen it not matter.
Sure.
So it's totally dependent on the type of accident and what happens.
And the factors, yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of factors that are not in your control. Seatbelts are a different story. Seatbelts, even in a 20-mile-an-hour collision, you can get thrown all around that car and can cause a bunch more injuries, if not even death.
Well, ejections, too.
Yeah. If you're wearing your seatbelt, that's not going to happen.
Sure. Your likelihood for injury is a lot less.
Yeah. So, and then with airbags the way they are, and I mean, all of that stuff, yes, fully in support of that.
Right.
And there's a lot of science behind it. So the helmet thing, though, I boil that down to, it's a personal preference. So.
Jeez. I know it's a big deal right now. A lot of people, it's riding season right now. So hopefully just a lot less people out on the roads on motorcycles soon. Makes me nervous for people.
Yeah, I mean, honestly.
So we've all been in rush hour traffic period, and people are on their phones. It's bad enough people are on their phones, and it's a ton of equipment.
Yeah.
To protect.
And that's what I was going to say is typically, and I can't even say that because I just ran a motorcycle wreck like a month ago where it was clearly the motorcycle rider's fault because he was being a jackass. And luckily he didn't hit anybody but himself. And I'll tell you about it afterwards, but because it was hilarious. I mean, okay, I'll stop.
Stop digging that hole with the fork.
Yeah. Oh, I was getting ready to pull the backhoe up and just, most of the motorcycle accidents that I've ran on the job have not been caused by the motorcycle rider.
Right.
It is typically by a car and someone being inattentive driving, running a red light, being high.
Yeah, that's
the worst
right now.
Motorcycle record. That's the worst motorcycle wreck that I ever ran was a guy that was high driving a car, ran a red light.
Well, we're going to start seeing more of that now with the open weed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
We had one going to work, pulled into the parking lot right behind me, and I'm like, I saw you at the stoplight smoking the weed. I could smell it. I'm a cop. I'm like a dog.
Oh, yeah.
You're in a police parking lot. Please put the weed out. Stop smoking the weed in front of me, at least.
Yeah. I got a great story. Remind me, I'll tell you after turn it off about that. So, but yeah, it's just one of those things where and I'm not saying all motorcycle riders are like super like whatever, because we know they're not. I mean, you got jackasses out there.
Everybody makes a mistake.
Yeah. It's just from my perspective, what I have seen, most of the time, they're not the ones that cause the accident.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, if it makes you feel better, wear it.
You're on a motorcycle. It's like a death trap anyways.
Shut your dirty pirate hooker mouth.
I'm going to punch you in the ovaries over there. I love that movie. That's one of the best.
The insults.
Did you? Oh, yeah. Did you touch my drumstick?
Oh, Cops is on. They don't come on till 4:30.
The whole movie. I haven't seen the movie in forever. I need to watch it again.
Oh,
it's a great movie.
Well, it's one of those movies where, I'll be honest, the first time I watched it, I was like,
oh, no, I loved
like
it the first time.
I had to watch it 2 or 3 times. And then it's, okay, this is...
It's pretty funny.
I like this.
Hookers and blow.
Yeah.
It's all about hookers and blow. It's a great movie.
Oh. Anyway.
Always great conversations with you.
Yeah. Dana, I'm glad that you came back on the show. You know,
Thanks for having me.
You're our first 3-time guest.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm honored to be here.
Congratulations. Your plaque is in the mail.
Oh, I'll hold my breath for that one. Has it got a donut on it?
Yeah.
It should.
Yeah. Just like those one donuts that we sent to that one place.
No comment.
And with that, if you are having a problem, don't be afraid to reach out. There are resources out there. If you know someone that is having a problem, do not be afraid to reach out. Show them that you give a shit. And let them know what resources are available. Yeah, so thanks for stopping by and have a good one.